You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Business Access.
Business Access TV.
Serious.
Serious about business.
Crime, corruption, and criminal justice. AmCham, the American Chamber of Commerce, is shining a light on these topics here at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel in a luncheon that's looking at how these affect Jamaica's trade and investment potential. I'm Elon Parkinson. Let's take a look at the highlights.
One of the things that I realize is that having these forums, it provides us with an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to improve. And all members should give your organization a round of applause. Put your hands together for it. For weeks, I was talking about business unusual. For weeks, that was the last one on the economy that you guys had. And I was in cocktail conversation sounding smarter than I am just by virtue of having been in the room. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out today. I'm going to apologize for the National Security Minister, Dr. Horace Chang. He did intend to be here, but he was called at the last minute to Parliament. I believe he has a parliamentary committee that he must be at, so they've summoned him. The numbers are important in these committees to make quorum and to participate in discussions at Gordon House, so he won't be with us today. The DPP, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn, is here. Thank you very much for being here with us today, as is Dirk Harrison, the acting head of the Corruption Prosecution Division at the Integrity Commission. Always glad to have Professor Anthony Clayton, a respected criminologist, here with us today. Jason Fraser is the country rep of the USAID. Thank you very much, and looking forward to hearing their presentations later today. At this time, I'm going to invite Alison Peart, the president of AmCham of Jamaica, to give the official welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. You know, we look so officious and so quiet. It's very, very important business, but I'm hoping today you're going to learn a lot more. You're going to leave here understanding more about some of the issues and, more importantly, with some solutions. Because it's one thing to speak about our issues, but if we don't find a solution, we're just a talk shop. And I love Nationwide on the radio, but we don't just want to talk. We want to come up with some solutions. So as the president of the American Chamber of Commerce in Jamaica, we thought it very important. We talk about how wonderful the economy was. Our last session was business unusual. But if we have crime issues, if people Jamaicans don't feel comfortable going about their daily lives, if our foreign investors don't feel comfortable, if our children, who are our future, have issues, where are we as a nation? So we thought it very important to bring together a panel that would engage in the dialogue about crime, corruption, criminal justice. How does it affect our trade and investment? Because it makes no sense to talk about our GDP growing or our debt to GDP if we're dying. It makes no sense if our future is tied to crime. So this dialogue is very, 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 very important, and I'm very happy you're here with us.
Okay, the question today is how much crime and corruption and a dysfunctional justice system are actually inhibiting the development of Jamaica and inward investment. Because we don't just have one problem, we have quite a complex array of problems. And it's quite hard to know how much we should attribute to any one of these and how much any one of these is contributing to what has historically been a very low rate of growth and significant difficulties in attracting inward investment and retaining domestic capital and retaining human capital. These are the headline ones. We have one of the highest rates of violence in the world. We have a large number, a significant number of gangs. About 80% of our homicide are gang-related. The rest are primarily domestic violence. So the fact that we have a large number of gangs is clearly a major factor in maintaining one of the world's highest levels of homicide. There are fundamental challenges still in our system of governance. As I'll be going on to say in a few minutes, we have people in public life who help to create this problem with gangs and high levels of violence, and that link has never been yet severed, and that is still a challenge that we have yet to face. What, of course, that does is it undermines the moral authority of government. If you have a situation where all the bad guys are out there and everybody in government is honest and competent, it's not really very difficult to deal with the problems of crime. The problem is when the boundaries between the two are blurred, and when you have criminals who are getting high-level political protection. At that point, it's much, much harder to deal with the issues. Of course, what that feeds is a culture of cynicism, low trust, and that has a great deal to do with sustaining a high level of violence. In any country where you see that people do not trust the police and do not trust the justice system, they're much more likely to have recourse to violence to solve their issues and disputes. So it's partly reflecting the fact that we've still got deep weaknesses in our system of governance. But let's put this in a little context. There's only one demographic for whom violence is the leading cause of premature morbidity, which is young males, late teens, early 20s. For every other demographic, it's actually cheeseburgers that are more likely to kill you. We've got issues with, like every other country, with steeply rising rates of non-communicable diseases. And we can't also forget the fact that we have perennial challenges with energy security, increasingly with water security, which is related, because years ago we made the decision that everybody must be on a piped water supply, which means that we're now committed to a program of pumping water up hillsides, which means that if our energy system goes down, our water system goes down too. In hindsight, perhaps that wasn't a very good decision. So we've got issues with energy, water security, and more generally food and access to resources. We live in a seismically active part of the world. We live in the hurricane belt. There's challenges with emerging exotic diseases, and of course we've got a background issue really serious now, as people have started to realize with climate change. You may have heard that this summer is the hottest ever recorded in Jamaica's history. And in fact, there's now real grounds for concern that we've gone past an irrevocable point, and that we will not ever revert back to the low temperatures of the past. So this is something that we may now have to make a permanent adjustment to.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Have you seen it? It's BATV Live. Live streams of business news weekdays at 7:30 p.m. Stay on point Thursdays at 8 p.m. with our Business Current Affairs show. And Weekend Business Report Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. wherever you are. Log on to our Facebook page at Business Access TV or visit our website at batvja.com. Live and at your fingertips. Business Access TV, serious about business.
One of our highest priorities of the U.S. government in Jamaica is to work with our counterparts to interdict Jamaican and Caribbean-based transnational criminal activity, including narcotics and arms trafficking, trafficking in persons, and financial fraud targeting U.S. citizens. The U.S. government has also invested heavily in supporting anti-corruption initiatives with the civil society and Jamaican government, as well as supported improvements in the justice system. In total, the U.S. government invests about $12 million in security-related programming annually, which does not include all the various partnerships and collaborations that our various U.S. government agencies have with their counterparts. In fact, USAID Jamaica just advertised a broad agency announcement to co-design our flagship community violence prevention activity with key stakeholders such as the government, academia, and private sector. This unique co-creation approach encourages key stakeholders to co-create and deliver the services that are vital to prevent youth crime and violence at the community level. Law enforcement and criminal justice are important to controlling crime, as we all know, and corruption. But we also have to address the underlying social challenges that both cause and contribute to crime. Within the broad range of U.S. cooperation on crime, and this is where USAID comes in, we partner with the government and civil society on a range of programs to address the root causes of crime in Jamaica. So in the area of community safety and security, and building upon past successes with community-based policing, USAID focuses on the strengthening of community-based and civil society organizations, the promotion of community-driven activities, the development of long-term champions of a culture of lawfulness, and the enhancement of ministries, departments, and agencies of the state to be more community-oriented institutions. In this way, we believe that we contribute to building safer communities, strengthening social cohesion, and improving civic engagement participation. USAID also works with holistic youth-friendly approaches that aims to assist at-risk youth in becoming active citizens through the engagement of different social, educational, behavioral, and recreational activities. This approach includes three main areas regarding youth involved in criminality: prevention, intervention, and rehabilitation, including diversion activities as alternatives to traditional incarceration for first-time offenders. Youth also develop skills through educational programs which introduce them to fundamental concepts in business, economics, individual accountability, and entrepreneurship. USAID expects that life skills and technical training will increase opportunities for at-risk youth to work within the legitimate economy, thereby reducing the likelihood of involvement in gang and criminal activity. In Jamaica, relationships with key public sector, private sector, and donor agency partners are being leveraged to create programs to build skills and to identify work options for youth. USAID also works in the youth remandee centers, which includes case management follow-up to facilitate at-risk youth acquiring job and education opportunities when they are released. In the area of corruption, the Combating Corruption in Jamaica project has not only built public demand for more effective action against corruption through awareness campaigns, but has also provided training to government and civil society partners to build capacity and increase advocacy. The project is expected to have an impact on the nation's capacity and the ability to effectively control instances of and attitudes towards corruption in general and political corruption in particular. So what's the role of the private sector in addressing the root causes? That's why we're all here today. Many of you are representing private sector organizations. How can the private sector be a key partner in addressing some of these root causes? Obviously, many of you are part of the community, and so you have an interest. Your companies are often affected by the high rates of crime and corruption. So it's important that government, international partners who support government, NGOs, and the private sector work together to address these issues. We've all been to various forums on issues surrounding crime in Jamaica. I think the private sector here needs to continue to ask itself what it is doing to address the issue. Clearly, advocacy is important to press for resources, accountability, and support in combating crime. but there's much more that can be done to invest in communities to make them safer and create opportunities for the next generation to be prosperous. Looking ahead, we welcome the opportunity to increase our engagement with the private sector on these challenges because of the energy and innovation that they typically bring to the table. USAID is a learning agency, and we are constantly exploring how to improve our work and increase our impact. So as we streamline our programs and look for new strategic partners, we invite the private sector to partner with us as we both work towards the common goal of helping Jamaicans thrive.
There's this sense of a godlike syndrome that during some transactions an oversight body must lap its tail or virtually hold its corner in the name of investment. There are different roles for each stakeholder. Each must stay in their lane and accept criticism when constructively made. On the contrary, ladies and gentlemen, potential investors, in fact, should be happy that the business environment observes the rule of law and that democracy flourishes with built-in checks and balances. If I were an investor about to enter Jamaica, it's incumbent on me and my handlers to look out for red flags and indicators of the environment. I name a few on a list that is not exhaustive. 1, determine the role of the oversight body. It must be effective, efficient, fearless, and it must be respected. What, if any, comment does the oversight body have to say on a process or an investment opportunity that you wish to enter? The engagement, ladies and gentlemen, of investors and investor confidence, existing and thriving, must be viewed on a virtual 2-lane highway. That is a 2-way street with rules and guidelines being applicable. 2, does the police service support and protect local and non-Jamaican community members? Do they communicate with all persons? Are they accessible at all times? Maintain a presence that the visitor or citizen believes and recognizes that if they do wrong, they'll be detected. But lines of communication must always be in place. For too long in this blessed country, the notion exists that unless someone knows you and you not knowing them, nothing will happen. That needs to end. In a time of real emergency, the joke is told, unless you have on speed dial a member of the police force, the response time to a complaint is sometimes unacceptable. Another thing that I would think an investor would look for, there must be a criminal justice system that is efficient and effective, and we must congratulate the learned Chief Justice for the renaissance and the role of the DPP's office in the renaissance that is taking place now. But we must also have financial services, a banking system, healthcare facilities. They must be adequate, to name a few components. Importantly, ladies and gentlemen, on Jamaica's stock exchange record, Michael Reagan, writing in Bloomberg Business Week, January 18, 2019, states the Jamaican Stock Exchange is the world's best performing. Its outperformance over the past 5 years is even more striking. Jamaica's stocks have surged almost 300%, more than quadrupling the next best performing national benchmark and septupling the S&P Standard & Poor's 500's advance. I make bold to say that the very important successes must be highlighted with all the negatives on crime and violence reported in the last 48 hours in Jamaica. Also, the awards in the tourism sector must also be celebrated. However, we must do better. Ladies and gentlemen, what are some of the solutions? Government agencies must work together all the time and set aside jealousies and petty matters which have no place in a professional setting. Interagency cooperation and collaboration must be emphasized and practiced. We must build bridges and stop tearing down, emasculating, and ridiculing persons. The fact that you do not agree is no reason to disrespect. Professionalism is non-negotiable. We must have a review of the timelines to review governance structures. Oftentimes, pieces of legislation give you 3 years to review a legislation. You see in 1 year, nothing is happening. The parliamentary caucus needs to do something about that. We must enhance whistleblowing regimes and encourage the discourse, changing the discourse to, in my words, informer for live. Stop saying informer for dead, informer for live. I must admit, I'm an informer. I'm a proud one. I'm an informer. Tell me something today, I'm going to tell the police tomorrow. We need to modernize the law enforcement units and bring outstanding laws into operation. We need public education to sensitize the world that the perception of corruption or actual is not a reflection of the overwhelming majority of law-abiding Jamaicans. We need to ensure that the police and our oversight bodies work to regain public trust. The police must maintain presence, not just in hotspots, but also generally. It will help to rebuild issues of insecurity. I pause here as I listen to Professor Clayton. In the last month, I visited Cayman. The police carry no guns. A year before, I went to Turks and Caicos. The police had no guns. I visited Grenada a few times. The police had no guns. They have their problems, but I felt safe. I am walking in this, my beloved country, and we're turning and looking behind us every minute. But our Caribbean neighbors, and Professor Clayton showed us the figures, I feel safe. We need to look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, as I close, I reiterate that the government of Jamaica, the ministries, the departments, the statutory bodies, to name a few, must work united to create that package, that which is seen by the outside world, with all the various components and elements that they look at, and which they consider, and which will have the effect to harness growth and encourage investor confidence. But most importantly, we must leave our partners with the belief that integrity is non-negotiable. Honesty is paramount, not by word of mouth, but by our actions. And despite our problems, crime and corruption, that they can and humbly should consider investing in our country to bring about change for good. Acknowledging that the improvement of the basic standards of life may have the effect of changing behavior, but I readily admit we can't legislate for good behavior.
Business current affairs you can relate to. Frank, credible discussion. On point with Kalila Reynolds and Dennis Chung. Dissecting the issues, offering solutions to Jamaica's challenges. On Point, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
In respect of what it takes to inspire confidence, I'm a plain speaker, and I will say, I believe that what is happening in our country, education is the key. I believe that a lot of our children, some of those who come from environments where they are victims of poor and dysfunctional parenting, we need to reintroduce civics in all its forms back within the schools, from the time of the basic school, because there are a lot of our children. People complain that, okay, are the schools not doing enough? But they may go to school, the teachers try their best, and they go back into an environment that is like a black hole of nothingness, because there's no value system, no values, positive values and attitudes. And yet if you take that child and you put that child in another environment, you have intervention, positive intervention, you would be surprised to see the beautiful diamond coming from the rough. So I'm really a big believer in education. Now, another pet peeve of mine is that, and I prosecute police officers, I do not subscribe to the throwing the baby with the bathwater approach. Everybody knows their functions best. But I am not a public official who believes, unless it is necessary in the interest of justice, to make gratuitous comments in terms of seeking to tear down my colleagues anywhere. And I am not into using speculation to put out there to join the call for crucify him, crucify her in the public domain, where you have the court of public opinion demanding, just like the little old ladies who were knitting at the time in the Tale of Two Cities and saying for the noblemen, chop off their heads. I am not into that. At the Director of Public Prosecution's office, we deal with two things: the law and evidence. Personal emotion, personalities, we are not into it. So even if the court of public opinion or any other opinion would like to see the guillotined head of an individual on a platter, if there is no evidence to prosecute, to mount a viable prosecution, then as a matter of law, we have to say so. And I will say, and it's the first time I'm saying it publicly, first time, and I say it with the greatest of respect, that this is why on occasion, when I've been asked privately, I have registered privately a concern when you have no firewall between agencies that both investigate and prosecute. Because if you are not careful, you run away in the court of public opinion, and the court of law has to catch up. And by the time it gets to court, after a lot of reputational damage has been done, when you look at it and the defense counsel gets up and says, they are putting the prosecution in limine to prove what is there, the judge asks, and when you pare away what is there, there's nothing there as a matter of law. So sometimes in the court of public opinion, the members of the public would want to see one thing, but both the police and I know that in the court of law, it's either you have to have cogent, credible, reliable, admissible evidence. If you don't have it, then no matter how egregious the conduct of an individual is, then you don't have a case. Then you have to look at the second layer in terms of governance and accountability. And this is where public opinion, civil society can force the government of the day to make sure that all the particular oversight agencies, that they have teeth, that they are well structured, and that the will, the political will is there to make sure that the teeth are not rickety in the oversight agencies, but they can stand up. In other words, if you put a piece of cane in the mouth of the teeth of that oversight agency, the teeth won't come out. It is the cane that will suffer damage.
Riveting perspectives and indeed sobering statistics coming from the AmCham empaneled team here at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. You're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bill? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready Credit for 1, 7, or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready Credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
It's that time of day for another interesting and informative edition of Jamaica Magazine. Hello, I'm Edwin Atkinson. Inside the pages, don't use derogatory nicknames to address me, says the disabled community. And remembering the popular festival songs of the 60s and 70s. On the turn of this page is a very important message, followed by the news of the day.
How we are going with all of that? You're moving?
No. I'm a passport, I come for renewing, you know. But you want me to show me no in that place full of crowd and the long line I take you all day. Make sure you walk with some food. And
no, man, things improve, man. Them have a lot of drop box where you can use inside. They finish in no time. Yeah, man, them are done.
Yeah. And some food, man. Right, this. A drop box.
Transformation is happening across the public sector. Many services are now available online. We are building a better public service for all. Brought to you by the Transformation Implementation Unit.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, July 25. Cabinet has awarded a $1.2 billion contract to Astrom Building Systems Limited to carry out infrastructure works on Phase 4 of the Twickenham Park housing development in St. Catherine. Minister with oversight of the Information Ministry, Carl Samuda, says the project involves the construction of 110 two-bedroom single-storage duplex units.
The company will also undertake supporting civil infrastructure works to include roadways, stormwater, drainage systems, potable water distribution systems, sewage network, emergency procurement, and other important aspects of the development.
Minister Samuda made the announcement during Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing at Jamaica House. He said the infrastructure work would be done over a 6-month period. The National Housing Trust is undertaking the development. 3 additional entertainment zones have been declared by the government. Culture and Entertainment Minister Olivia Grange says Waves Beach, Fort Clarence, and Helsha in Portmore are the island's newest entertainment zones. They join Fort Rocky in Port Royal, which got the designation in October 2018. These zones are areas in which any legal entertainment or sports activity can be staged anytime, day or night, unhindered, as long as the organizers are mindful of the historical value of such sites. The entertainment zones are expected to neutralize the problem of noise nuisance in residential areas. In the meantime, Minister Grange says her ministry is implementing other initiatives to further develop the sector.
We have developed a project in the Zozo community of Denham Town titled Social Inclusion through Entertainment, by which we have trained 45 youths in life skills, including bartending and events planning.
Minister Grange was making her sectorial debate presentation on Tuesday. The government of Jamaica is making strides in the act of reparations for survivors of the Coral Gardens incident. Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Olivia Grange, says the Public Defender's Social Inquiry Report has now been submitted to the Administrator General. The report is crucial to the disbursement of the $30 million compensation, which has been placed in a trust fund for the survivors of the 1963 incident.
We have, in the meantime, maintained contact with them and have worked very closely with the Rastafari Coral Gardens Benevolent Society to ensure that we take care of the elders.
Minister Grange says temporary homes will also be secured for the elderly members of the Rastafari community.
while we deal with the restoration of a property that has been provided to them by their Member of Parliament, the Honorable Horace Chan, which will be renovated and turned into a home for the elderly, for the Rastafari community. We have also secured wheelchairs from Food for the Poor and furniture to be used to furnish the elderly home.
During the Coral Gardens incident, there was a massive state crackdown against Rastafarians, which led to numerous persons being killed, injured, and imprisoned by the police in the St. James community. Minister of Labour and Social Security Shahini Robinson says the implementation process to facilitate the Disabilities Act is in full gear.
It is our intention to have the first 2 codes of practice and regulations completed by the end of the year. However, as a precursor, we must create the most stable and affirming environment in which to operationalize the Act.
Minister Robinson was making her sectoral debate presentation in Parliament recently. She said work was taking place to solidify the governance and organizational structure for a modernized and more efficient Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, JCPD. The council will transition to a corporate public body with expanded scope in its functions and services.
The JCPD has now finalized the operational procedures manual for their suite of services. The accessibility manual obtained from the Access Board in Washington, D.C. is being adapted and reconciled with the measurements specified in the Jamaican Building Code.
The administrators of the National Insurance Fund, NIF, are looking to exceed the 31.67% growth in net asset value that was registered for the financial year ending March 31, 2019. The net asset value stood at $120.7 billion. Labour and Social Security Minister Shahini Robinson says the growth was driven primarily by the performance of the equity portfolio of investments, which grew by 31.3%.
NIF's primary focus is to maximize returns within acceptable risks, while maintaining a level of liquidity to enable timely payment of NIS benefits. The NIF continues to review asset allocations in order to ensure that there is appropriate diversification given the ever-changing dynamics of the investment environment in which the fund operates.
The National Insurance Fund provides important social protection for Jamaicans who contribute to the National Insurance Scheme, with returns in the form of pension payment and numerous other benefits. Procurement processes have started to undertake an updated actuarial review of the fund this financial year. The ministry is meanwhile looking to improve the welfare of more Jamaicans by increasing the number of contributors to the NIS, which currently stands at 50% of the workforce. And finally, Energy Minister Fable Williams says that come 2020, approximately 44% of the island's electricity generating capacity will be coming from natural gas. This will be made possible by the JPS's 190 megawatt power plant in Old Harbour to be commissioned this year, and the Jamalco 94 megawatt power plant in Clarendon slated for completion in 2020. Minister Williams says these government partnerships and the long-term contracts that have been signed contribute to the growth of the sector and will ensure price stability in electricity.
As a government, we recognize that the key to securing our energy future is the diversification, and LNG has played a significant part in that. The long-term contracts that are being signed will ensure that there's price stability and that these will inure to the benefit of Jamaicans.
The minister was speaking at the recent unveiling of New Fortress Energy's floating storage regasification terminal off the coast of Old Harbour. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Are you a small to medium-sized tourism enterprise? Borrow up to $25 million at an interest rate of 5%. You can use the funding to develop and maintain your infrastructure, upgrade or increase your capacity, enhance and expand your attraction, tour or event, and purchase raw material. Call the Exim Bank and ask about the Tourism SMTE loan. Their numbers are 876-630-1400 or 876-618-5889. Tap into the over $3 billion earned yearly through tourism with a SMTE loan.
When referring to members of the disabled community, the preferred way to do so is by each person's name. As you will learn in this feature, it's never polite to address them according to their disability.
Call me Nefishiba.
Call the person by their names if you know their names. And if you don't know their names, ask. I recall when I was growing up, disability was not a word. Most persons who had varying impairments, people used to call them, even today, I'll use this one. They call persons with one hand or 1 foot one-y. And they call persons who are deaf the D word, which I will not say. The Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and the Disabilities Act push forward that you put the person first. So I know sometimes we love to say the disabled man. He is a man first and foremost. And so I know too that some members of the disability community, they don't mind. But if we want to be politically correct, just remember it's a person first.
I know many of our children and youths and even adults, they face labeling in their communities. And one of the derogatory terms that people would use to describe them is that you're retarded or you're retarded. And those are terms that, emotionally, they hurt persons with intellectual disability because you're seeing the person with a condition and not the person.
I am Hannah Kay.
They are also referred to as handicapped.
Don't call me that.
Don't call me that.
But we all know that what we refer to as a handicap is a barrier that you place. It can be a physical barrier, it can be an attitudinal barrier that you place on the person, but the person is not a handicap. Anybody with a disability is a person first. And so you address the person. Do you, the tall person? No. You would call the person by him or her, by his or her name. So address the persons by their names.
You might say that, but the person is deaf, I can't sign. Ask them, maybe they can write, or maybe they can lip it, and you figure it out together. Or if someone is in the space, they can maybe tell you. But ask. It's always nice to ask. And people who are blind are not necessarily deaf. So we do not need to shout and scream if it's a person who is blind. They can hear and they can speak.
It's a challenge, but for most persons will find the term visually impaired acceptable. People have many ways of referring to persons who are blind, which we in the blind community will find quite derogatory, right? There are terms that people use, sometimes, the tease of the other children, for example, referring to them as bat or blind bat, or blinky, or cast eye, or those terms obviously are not acceptable terms and are not terms of endearment at all.
I recently went to a function and the question was asked in the room. What do you think, what are the words that come to mind when you hear the word deaf? And everybody, in the audience sought to say, no hearing, discriminated against, and all those kinds of words. And the deaf person said, what about champion? What about an achiever? What about a motivator? What about those positive words that we refer to others in society as? People with disabilities are those too. And so if we begin there, no, you do not have to pay money to change an attitude. An attitude is a decision. And so if Jamaicans, out of understanding that people with disabilities are people and they have capabilities, abilities like everybody else, then I think that will be a humongous achievement, because it will then have a ripple effect on everything else that happens in society.
We are just like you. We have the same needs, we do the same things. We work, we have families, we cook, we wash, we clean, we do all the same things. We are not different. It means that when you're thinking of persons who are blind or visually impaired, you know, think of us as, you know, your brother, your sister. The same things that you need, the same things that you want, respect, the need for autonomy, those are the same things that we want.
I know a lot of persons might say, but that is what they are. And I would say, no, that is not what they are. The disability might be part of their person, but they are not their disability. The disability is a condition. And so all the other derogatory words that are utilized, if we put ourselves in the position, recognizing that disability is no respecter of persons, whether class or socioeconomic status, color, disability has no bias. And so in these days when we have those beautiful roads and we drive on them at high speeds and we can end up in accidents, a disability is a second away.
The JCDC Festival Song Competition has been running for 53 years. And although it has gone through a few changes, the competition remains highly competitive. We look back at the 60s and 70s, an era that lives on in our memories.
I'm a born Jamaican, I'm a son of the soil. I love the sea.
Popular festival hits of the 60s and the 70s still being enjoyed today.
Don't matter where I go, Jamaica is my home. I love the girls, coconut water and white rum.
Although the first festival song competition was in 1966, the process started in 1963 with the creation of Jamaica Festival by then Minister of Development and Welfare, the Most Honorable Edward Seaga. This was to establish an umbrella for the various types of festival events that were happening sporadically.
We were independent from '62, and people were having dances each year and various activities through the country without any real organized structure to control it. I don't think it was even thought of that it should be like that. People are enjoying themselves. We are independent, we are free kind of thing.
So, to coordinate a structured independent celebration island-wide, the Jamaica Festival Commission was formed by an Act of Parliament in 1968. This later became the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, JCDC, in 1980, which has since been coordinating all festival activities, including the well-loved festival songs.
Sweet Jamaica is now on the move. Help me with my song and let the people them come sing along.
That opportunity was really, really welcome, and the public did now see it as something that is structural, it's permanent almost. It's not a case that you have to go around a lane there to hear you sing, or you're going to dance tonight, you might hear a man on. Here was something which annually, when you talk about festival and enjoy yourself, this was the song which was one of the flagship for the festival.
During the 60s and 70s, rocksteady was the sound of the day. But as popular and entertaining as it was, like the ska and menta that preceded it, there wasn't much publicity for both the music and artists.
So, entering festival for an artist was an opportunity to acquire some exposure, because we didn't have the amount of record producers then that we obviously have now, are opportunities for exposure. Jamaican music was not accepted near to where it is today. So radio stations were not playing the music as they ought to or could have.
It is believed that airplay rotation of the festival songs of the 60s and 70s opened the door for a wide acceptance of our music locally and internationally. And more important, created a profile for the artists.
The big thing was recognition. That was priceless, that you won it, because Toots was there and Toots won it with Bam Bam. I mean, Toots never looked back after that.
The Maytals, with Toots as lead singer, won the festival song competition 3 times. He and other winners went on to become successful recording artists.
Now everybody just come down, come down, come down, come down. Have you one time to cry? Come down, come down, come down, come down.
The Jamaica Festival Song Competition during its initial years got overwhelming support from the people who look forward to the music that would herald independence celebrations.
The music was the most potent and likely force to draw people towards it, right? So that's why small accent was played on it, placed on it. But the people welcomed it because they were, remember again to you, the independence thing. We had the Rastafarian community who was still very vibrant in Jamaica, talking about nationalism, patriotism, Jamaican and anti-imperialism and things like that. This can be looked at to say, here was another event that are happening now, coming from us, to shake off the shackles of colonialism and even classism and racism and things like that. So it had various, it impacted in various ways on many people and the country as a whole. So even it might be defined, as I just said, in some books. But these were feelings on the street, This gave me a sense of this is us, this is a we know kind of thing. You know what I mean? So the festival has been seen as something more than just some words or some lyrics or some instruments together. It meant something to the psyche of the people.
That gave the people something to look forward to.
Well, normally from the moment the festival songs start, the whole thing start, Yeah, listening go right down to the last, because you want to see who are going to come out on top.
Everybody was excited about the song, and we were always listening for the festival song, and then we tried to learn it so that we could sing it together.
Festival is a feel-good time, and the music added an electrifying spirit among the people, causing a competitive vibe leading up to the announcement of the winning song, which was a big thing.
Well, normally, say Eric Donaldson and them, man, they was your top star in the car, so them, man, they bring it. You understand me? So, say then you got bet to, So, whether you even win or lose, you don't mind it, because, say your star is still up on top.
Artists eventually became popular household names, but if the name somehow slipped the memory, the song title was just as good.
The one named Uncle Benji, well, at least the lyrics for the man gear, Even if you sit on a yard really a roast can, you'd still lock off your fire a little bit and go out and see what really are going, what them are going in the street with, don't it? So I say really go.
It was so excited those days, and we didn't have so much things to think about. So in the country parts, we just gather together to hear it, and who can dance it better from who cannot dance it, and so on. We used to do a little empty in a room, a cry. Your mother say you must wife it. Papa say you're not a foolish girl, something like that,
And the memories continue to flow.
All right, my song was sung What a Bam Bam. Is that my song? Bam Bam, What a Bam Bam. So I say, I love you even now. Let me recap some festival song. Just dive through the song, the place.
60s, 70s, that period, the best. Because reggae was now full blown. Rocksteady was on its way out. And still had the amalgam on the book, them. So during those 2 decades, you see, you're getting the best of both. During that period there, the body of music, everlasting.
Drop this a version in a yard, sinners with one more. So the music, play the music, jump like little bees.
And the music will continue to play for centuries to come, building community spirit, patriotism, and just overall niceness.
Play the music, sweet, sweet. No matter what you do, you can't get through unless you...
We just look back. Now it's time to look forward and hear from Ramiz with his entry in this year's JCDC Festival Song Competition titled Jamaica for Life.
My Jamaica, my Jamaica. Oh, Jamaica, the land of beauty, at the place where me born and grow. We have a lot of lush green vegetation. Oh, what a blessed island. Golden sunrise, white sandy beaches are some of the treasures that we have. We are a loving, creative people. Nothing compares to my little island. Me tell you, say, no better than yard. This a tropical vibes to the world, yeah, so nice. Jamaica, I'm the first choice. Me tell you, say, no better than yard. No matter what I rise, Jamaica feel life. It's sweet like sugar and spice. Every year tourists take a flight down. Set them love off the reggae and the white rum. With pretty beaches make them want stay. So them a go secure citizenship right away. Out of many we are one people, talent young enough the world can see too. Like Marley, Marcus, Veronica and Usain. Jamaica, you done gone a lane. Me tell you, say, no better than yard. This a tropical vibes to the world, yes, so nice. Jamaica, I'm the first choice. Me tell you, say, no better than yard. No matter what I rise, Jamaica feel life. It's sweet like sugar and spice.
Speeding through life and the traffic lights till somebody get hurt and the tears start cry. Save a life for the kids, for you and I. Save kids' lives. Make the road safe whether day or night, for pedestrians, passengers, cars and bikes. Save a life for the kids, for you and I. Save kids' lives.
Hey man, it's our job to keep the road them safe. Have to take care of the youth them so we know them safe. And obey the road code, don't race. No bother with the speeding case, make face and check your light them at your tires and brakes. Riders and the pillions who left the helmet. I put on the cell phone, no send no text. No matter what color they on your plate.
When you're on the road, take your time. When you're on the road, bear this in mind. When you're on the road, you can save a life. When you're on the road, when you're on the road, I beg you please be safe. Wear your seatbelt for keep you safe, and make sure your helmet's in place when you're on the road.
Hey, follow me. Well, everybody drive good and walk good. Then teach the youth them how to cross good. I beg you obey the road signs, park good. I put the young ones in a car seats, all good. And everybody drive good and walk good. And we say young and old, I beg you cross good. Remember the dark clothes at night, that is not good. From you I use up the sidewalk, it's all good.
When you're on the road, take your time. When you're on the road, bear this in mind. When you're on the road, you can save a life. When you're on the road, when you're on the road, I beg you please be safe. Wear your seatbelt to keep you safe, and make sure your helmet's in place when you're on the road. When you're on the road, when you're on the road.
As we close today's show, we ask that you stay connected via our website, gis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at gis.gov.jm or via tweet at JIS News. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
They say it takes a village to raise a child, but the world will one day need the leadership of that child. The time you spend with your child matters. It stimulates their minds and shapes the way they act. Talk with your children. Help them to better understand the world around them and to value what is truly precious. Above all, the most valuable gift you can give them is love. Play, Talk, teach, love. Take the time. It makes all the difference. A message from the Parenting Helpline and Ad Council Jamaica.
Sundays at 4:30 p.m. It's all about Home Sweet Home. Get your half-hour dose of the business of real estate, from laws and concepts to reality, building, buying, or renting. Or what about trends in decor or renovations? Home Sweet Home will keep you up to date. On this episode of Chill Spot, we'll be enjoying the simple pleasures in life with Shani Jaja. She's the CEO of FamFun Entertainment, and she's also the communications manager at Global Directories Limited, also known as the Yellow Pages. For the ultimate spa experience, Shani will be taking us to the Face Place, and then it will be on to Tea Tree Creperie, a cordon bleu style eatery, the first of its kind here in Jamaica. Stay with us. Mani-pedis, facials, massages. I can't think of a better way to de-stress. Let's join Shani inside and check it out. Hi Shani.
Hi Candy.
Good to see you.
Good
How
to
are
see you too. Good.
So what are we going to be doing today?
Okay, so this is one of my favorite places. We're going to do full body massage. We're going to do a facial, body scrub, and get our nails done.
And what is it about hair that you like?
I love the fact that they have such a wide variety of services to choose from. As you will see today, we're going to be doing the full works.
Well, I'm very excited. This sounds like an amazing chill spot, so let's get to it.
Looking forward to it too.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, how are you? Thank you. It's good to be back.
All right, let me just check you guys in, and someone will be with you shortly.
Wonderful.
Fantastic. But while we're waiting, tell me a little bit about the Face Place. Why would someone opt to come here?
Well, the Face Place has been established since 1973.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you know, when you have a set of quality standards in place, things kind of just work for themselves.
What are your range of services that you guys offer?
We offer a range of facials, another range of nail care, body care, and waxing, hair removal, those kind of things.
Well, you guys are getting me really, really excited, so let's head inside.
All right.
So, hi.
Hi. How are you?
Hi.
Hi. I'm Nicole.
Hi, guys.
I'm here to take you guys around, please. Thank you.
Let's go. Service so far here is spectacular.
It is exceptional.
I'm really feeling very relaxed. The drink, the girls, everything has been perfect.
Yep, this is why you have to come here and just relax. You have to make it a point of duty to set some time for yourself, even if it is once a month, to pamper yourself.
So Shani, tell me about your upbringing and how you were raised, and any siblings.
Oh yeah, actually have a big family. I grew up in a Rastafarian household. So my dad and my mom were both Rastafarians. And my dad has 8 kids and my mom has 4.
But you only have one?
I only have one.
So tell me about your one.
My one, my pride and joy, Jelani. He is my biggest motivation. He's the reason why I do a lot of the things that I do, and I believe why I'm so driven to ensure that I succeed, because I want to show him that, you know, in everything that he does, he needs to do with the spirit of excellence.
So how do you balance motherhood with everything else that you have going on?
It really is a balancing act, because kids go through different stages. Now he's going into the preteen stage, which is a whole different ball game. He keeps me grounded though, and he keeps me on my toes. I remember there was a time when I was at home working, and he wanted to talk to me about something, and I kept, you know, kind of brushing him off. And I was on my computer, and he said, "Mommy, do you think your work is more important than me?" And the moment he said that is the moment I realized how much he was observing the fact that, you know, I was putting work before him. And since that moment, you know, I've made it a concerted effort to make sure that I spend time with him, and there are things that we do together. No interruptions with phone, no interruptions with anyone else. It's just me and him.
And what about your faith? What role does Christianity play in your everyday life?
It really is a fundamental part of my life. It sets the tone for everything that I do and how I do it. Being a Christian, it's been a journey. You know, every day it's a different experience. Every day it's putting God first, you know, above everything else. It's praying about everything that I do. It's being conscious of, you know, His plans and His purpose for my life, and ensuring that, you know, I'm obedient to His will, and that I'm applying myself based on, you know, the things that He has called me to do.
So what about your dating life? Are you dating right now?
No, I'm not dating right now.
So what would be your idea of the ideal man or the ideal date?
Wow. I would say the ideal date would be, you know, us both doing something that we really enjoy. I love to eat out. I love good conversation. I mean, it sounds cliche, and I guess it probably is, but when you meet someone that, you know, you can just talk, and, you know, you don't even realize that hours are going, and, you know, you're sharing your life experiences, or just, you know, just enjoying the simpler things in life and being appreciative of, you know, each other. That, I guess for me, it's just, that would be ideal.
We've noticed that you're a very fashionable girl. Tell us about your sense of fashion.
If you know me, my hairstyle is always changing, right? So I just try new things, because, you know, fashion is there to be explored.
What about your sense of fashion in the workplace?
Dress according to your body type and be comfortable in what you're wearing. Don't wear shoes that you know you can't walk in. I personally, if I know that I'm going somewhere and I have to walk a long distance between the car park and where I'm going, and I know I'll be standing for hours, I won't wear a 6-inch heel that I know that I can't walk in. It affects your confidence if you're wearing a pair of shoes that is too tight for you, or you're wearing a skirt that is a little bit too tight or too short, and that shows. So in the workplace especially, maintain that level of professionalism.
Fabulous. You also mentioned earlier that you like to eat out. What other things other than eating do you enjoy?
I love plays, right? Anything with Glenn Titus Campbell in it, I will go and watch. Yes, I love plays, and I love to go to the country. So Ocho Rios, Port Antonio. I like traveling overseas, you know, experiencing new cultures, experiencing new food too, because I really love to eat.
You seem like such a strong, confident woman. Is there anything that you're afraid of?
My biggest fear is making a mistake in how I raise him that will affect him for the rest of his life.
What would you say is the one thing that always brings you back and makes you resilient?
The fact that it's not on my own strength, but my strength comes from the Lord. I put Jelani in prayer day and night. I pray over him, I pray for him, I pray with him, because I realize that the Lord has a purpose for him. And I know that if I continue to trust and be obedient to what he has told me to do, then Jelani's life will be fine.
Well, Shani, thank you very much for this experience here at the Face Space. I'm having a fabulous time, but I'm really excited to eat. I'm kind of hungry.
Oh gosh,
so we'll be heading to
Tea Tree Crappery.
Let's go.
Coming up.
Well, we refer to it as a unique family festival because it is an event that caters to every single member of the family.
So you guys are Fun Fest?
Yes.
Oh!
They say it takes a village to raise a child, but the world will one day need the leadership of that child. The time you spend with your child matters. It stimulates their minds and shapes the way they act. Talk with your children. Help them to better understand the world around them and to value what is truly precious. Above all, the most valuable gift you can give them is love. Play, talk, teach, love. Take the time. It makes all the difference. A message from the Parenting Helpline and Ad Council Jamaica.
Hi, Shani. Good to see you. How are you? I'm fine, thanks. You? Good. So, Shani, tell us about Tea Tree and why you chose it as your chill spot.
I enjoy crepes. I like the variety. I love the ambience of here, especially. It's a perfect place to come and chill on a Saturday afternoon or even in the morning. You know, it's just an easy, relaxing atmosphere, and the food is great.
Fantastic. So, what kind of restaurant is it exactly? Like, what is a crepe?
How do you describe it? Wow. A crepe is a thin pancake that can either be savory or sweet, and you have various fillings that you can add to it. So my favorite is the Marlin crepe.
And you said that you love the ambience here. Describe what it is like.
When I'm here, I feel as if I'm not in Jamaica. It's very relaxing. I like just the peace. I like there's always something that's happening. It seems vibrant, but it's also, really relaxing and just a nice place to just chill, either read a book or drink a mint lemonade and just kick back.
Well, with that kind of description, I'm ready to order.
I am too.
Oh, hi.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Give me just a minute to get some drink menus as well.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm a strawberry cheesecake fan, so...
Girl, I can't manage it. I'm trying to lose weight right now.
I think that's what I'm gonna get.
Even this is like cheap meal for me now.
But it's like everything you can imagine can go inside a crepe.
Yeah.
Everything.
I think that's what I like about it, because it's very versatile. So if you're a vegetarian, which I am, there's a wide variety you can choose from. You can either do a straight veggies, or you can do something like the smoked marlin crepe, which is good.
I know it's a cheat meal, but then you can get one with just fruits. So does that count? Does it still count as a cheat meal?
No, I don't think so, because I think the crepe in itself doesn't have a lot of calories. Right. I'm not sure, but I say if it's a thin pancake, it can't be that bad.
I think I'm gonna get the strawberry cheesecake. That's me.
All right, I'm gonna have the smoked marlin and the mint lemonade.
Is ready?
Yep.
Yes. Is that the drink menu? Can I see that? I will have a fruit smoothie, a strawberry smoothie, if that's okay. And then I'll also have the strawberry cheesecake crepe.
Strawberries?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll have the mint lemonade and the smoked marlin crepe. Yay! Yes, thank you.
All right, Shani, so I want to talk a little bit about your professional life. Tell us about your job. I know you have multiple, so let's start with your position at the Yellow Pages, Global Directories. Tell us about that.
So I'm the communications manager for Global Directories, which is a recent post that I've been appointed to.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So, I mean, it's something that I completely enjoy. The role involves public relations, media relations, and corporate social responsibility, which is an area that I'm especially excited about because it's the first time for us as a company that will be looking at developing a CSR regional program that can, that can be implemented in the 15 markets within which we operate. So
that's fantastic. And I know you've done a number of different things leading up to this position. Can you tell us what else you've done? Because you were at Digicel for some time.
Yes, I would say that that's where my professional career in marketing started, at Digicel. Initially when I went there, I was in the call center as a call center agent. Yes, so I joined Digicel in 2002. February 2002, which was a few months after they had launched.
Right.
And I started in customer care as a call center agent. And after about a year and a half, and eventually when a position became available, I applied for it and I got through. So that position was media planner. And since then, I've just been growing ever since.
What would you say is your favorite part about your job now?
You know what I enjoy about marketing? It's so dynamic and it's so diverse. So there's always something new, a new trend. I especially love the behavioral aspect of it in terms of how, you know, developing certain strategies and programs can actually affect human behavior and how they interact and relate to brands. It's very exciting a topic for me, and I just love the fact that there's so much that can be done. So there's never a day that I come to work that I'm doing the same thing. I like the challenge of coming up with new and creative ideas and looking at fresh and innovative ways to really engage our consumers and our customers.
And similarly, what would you say is the most challenging part and how do you overcome those challenges?
I think the most challenging part of it is really having that work-life balance, because, you know, when you are in a profession that you really, really love and you're genuinely passionate about, it's very easy for you to spend every waking moment doing that, right? You know, there's always something new coming up, so you're trying to challenge yourself to learn more and to do more. But having a family, it's important for you to strike that balance, and I think that's probably the most challenging side of it. But I've learned and I'm still learning to do that.
You also are the CEO of FamFun Entertainment. You mentioned work-life balance, so tell us about this.
I think that was my dream. And it came about because of my son, Jelani. I realized that there was a lack of family entertainment in Jamaica. So, you know, whenever the holidays came around, there really wasn't anything for us to do as a family, you know, except for going to the movies and so on. And my business partner, Jete, who is also very experienced in event management, we came up with the concept of just putting on our own event, and that's really how FamFun and FunFest was born.
So you guys are FunFest?
Yes.
Oh!
So the company is FamFun Entertainment, but the event that we put on is FunFest.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, the first one that we had in December of 2012, my grandmother, who at the time was 95 or 98,
she came
and she sat down and, you know, and she watched the entertainment that we had throughout the day. I mean, she interacted with her grandkids that were there, and, you know, it's just been a good family event.
Absolutely.
For adults, for kids, for teenagers to come out to and enjoy.
You have so many different things going on, and you constantly have to deal with people of different kinds, different personalities. So how do you deal with that?
You know what? I learned very early in life that you have to be diplomatic in your approach. You have to learn in this business not to take things personal. You have to stay focused in terms of what's your ultimate goal, and not allow people's personality or, you know, attitude to derail you from that focus. I've gotten a lot of blows, both career-wise and personally, and so I think from those experiences I've learned to become a little bit more thick-skinned, be a little bit more understanding and also compassionate, and I think it's through that I've been able to build the relationships and, you know, just be able to maneuver my way through, you know, the various challenges.
Who would you say has inspired you the most in your career?
I guess it would be my mom. You know, she's an entrepreneur like myself, and she's really just had to be very positive and optimistic in everything that she's done, you know. starting out with raising 4 kids, it was really difficult for her. Yeah, and when she made that bold move to leave her 9 to 5 and start her own business, you know, it really was a challenge for her. But I've witnessed her commitment, her dedication, her drive, her passion, and her zeal, which has given me that inspiration. And whenever I feel as if, you know, it's too difficult to continue, you know, I remember the challenges that she went through, and I know that if she could have done it with 4 kids, then I certainly more than can do it with just, you know, 1.
Coming up,
So for FamFun, did you have any difficulties or challenges getting that off the ground?
Girl, the biggest challenge and blow for me is when I shared those dreams and ideas with close friends who, you know, they were less than supportive.
Every day you wake up, you have another opportunity to make this little island better, safer, a place where we all can be proud to call home. It's time we all recognize that every little thing we do has an impact on the Jamaica we live in now and the country we're leaving for our children. So promise me this, promise yourself this: no more will we tolerate criminals, even if it's our relatives. Tell them they're doing something wrong. Tell them to stop. Tell them no more robbing our children of the Jamaica they deserve. Tell them no more crime.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
So you have FamFun, you have your other job, your permanent full-time.
Yes.
How do you manage both of those things simultaneously?
It really is a balancing act, and thankfully, I've had enough experience to learn how to juggle both. The beauty about FunFest is that it's seasonal events that we do, and we pretty much developed a blueprint for it, so it can operate on autopilot. But balancing the priorities for my 9 to 5 is critical, ensuring that I get those responsibilities out the way, so that when I go home in the evening, I can spend time with my family, and also, you know, a couple hours before I go to bed, I focus on the plans for FunFest.
So for FamFun, did you have any difficulties or challenges getting that off the ground?
Girl, yes, because you know, you have this grand idea, and you have these big plans and big dreams that you want to fulfill. And I think the biggest challenge and blow for me is when I shared those dreams and ideas with close friends who, you know, they were less than supportive. I remember there was one person that I spoke to that I considered her an expert for a particular area that I wanted to do at the event, and her response to me was, well, why are you doing that? Why are you starting so big? And why don't you do something smaller? Why are you looking to do something entertainment-based? And I felt discouraged, and I remember speaking to my spouse at the time, who he said, you know what, as a matter of fact, you shouldn't feel discouraged. If anything, that should challenge you and motivate you to do it, to show, not her, but I mean yourself, that, you know, despite the challenges and the naysayers, that it was possible. And sharing the dream and having persons understand what that dream is and the importance of it and willing to invest in it was also a big challenge. So for us, my business partner and I, we had to put up our money, our own money. And I can honestly say that the first event didn't even break even. But the joys that we saw on the families' faces, the feedback that we got from parents that came out, from kids that came out, it was so overwhelming that we were committed to this thing. We knew that even though the first event didn't work out, we know that there was potential for it, and so it made us even more resilient to go out there and do it much bigger, much better, to invest in it as something that not only is beneficial to us, but it's also something that contributes positively to the family structure in Jamaica.
And I would imagine that today we are not just breaking even, but you're making a profit from this as well, yes?
I would say that today we're blessed. Yes, we're blessed.
I love that. Okay, and what advice would you have for people who are in a 9-to-5 and balancing some kind of entrepreneurial activity?
I would say first and foremost, you have an obligation to the company that you work for, and there is an expectation that you will deliver. It should never be a case where the projects that you're working on outside compromises the level of work or the quality of work that you provide to your employer. So first and foremost, be disciplined about your work, be honest about the things that you're doing as well, and ensure that there's no conflict of interest. It's also important for you to learn to balance, so ensuring that your objectives are being met, but then also spend the time to plan for the other activities that you need to get done. And it is possible, and I would encourage young professionals to challenge themselves to do more. There's a lot that can be done, and there's no limit to how many roles you can play, but it's just for you to find your niche and find what you're good at and do it well.
What personal or professional goals do you set or have for yourself?
Professional, from a global directory standpoint, I see global directories really being #1 in search in the Caribbean. I also see us rolling out a very effective and sustainable corporate social responsibility program regionally that will not only impact the environment within which you operate, it will impact communities and also impact government and the wider communities. So I see that as our ultimate goal. I think big things are ahead for that company. From a personal standpoint, in terms of FunFest, FunFest, we're doing our first event in Ocherius. This is going to be our 10th staging, and our dream is really for it to become a Caribbean and international brand.
So you're also a mentor. It's at UTech, I think. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I'm a mentor for students at UTech through their mentorship program. I remember when I was a little bit younger and in my professional career, I really admired certain professional women. Heather Shields is one. Just her professionalism, her zeal, her flair, her style is one that I really admired. I learned so much from her, and I think my ability to grow was through that experience. And so when I was approached to be a mentor at UTech, I readily took up the opportunity because I think it's important for us to not only receive, but to give.
Well, I love that, Shani. I love that you've been able to use your experience to give back to the students. That's really amazing. Oh, this is fantastic. Perfect timing. Thank you very much.
All right. Bon appetit.
Well, Shani, I could not have asked for a better day out with you. I enjoyed every single part of today, the face paste, the massage, oh my gosh. We got mani-pedis, and the food here is incredible.
It was.
So thank you very much for sharing your multiple chill spots with us.
And thank you so much for having me on the show. I really had a great day. This is like my perfect Saturday.
Business current affairs you can relate to. Frank, credible discussion. On Point with Kalila Reynolds and Dennis Chung. Dissecting the issues, offering solutions to Jamaica's challenges. On Point, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Violence is bad. Violence against our innocent little children is terrible. Pretending not to notice when we know or suspect that a child is suffering is awful and morally wrong. In the words of the great Nelson Mandela, there can be no keener realization of a nation's soul than the way in which it treats its children. Think about that for a second. I have a voice. It's one of my gifts. I intend to use it on behalf of our children. No more violence against our children. Make your move to stop violence against our children right now. No more. No more. No more.
You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access. Business Access. Business Access.
Business Access.
You are watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Serious about business.
The BPO industry is one of the fastest growing industries in Jamaica. Hundreds of young people were introduced to various BPO companies at the Jampro BPO Career Fair hosted at the University of Technology. Business Access TV was there to bring you the highlights.
This is the first Jampro BPO Career Fair. Why was it important for this to get off the ground this year?
Because I think a lot of people have a really erroneous idea of what BPO is. They think it's just about call centers and sitting in a room with telephones, when actually it's interacting with technology. It's all about customers, but it's about what does the customer need. So sometimes the customer needs tech support, sometimes they need help with a legal matter, sometimes they have an accounting problem. So it's all different types of problems that BPO deals with.
What would you say is the relevance of the BPO industry in Jamaica?
Well, hugely relevant. It's the fastest growing industry we have. For the last 10 years, BPO has added each year between 5,000 and 10,000 jobs. There's no other industry in Jamaica today that can say that. So, and it's here and it's accelerating, and that's what's great about it.
What would you say is the overall goal or the aim for the career fair today?
We want to expose young people to the realities of BPO. We want them to hear from their peers, from their fellow young people about what it's like to work in industry. We want to demystify the industry for them. We want them also to hear from some of the successful and expanding companies here about the job opportunities. And we want some of them, those who want to get signed up to a real job.
Sector, without any form of contradiction, has provided the greatest mechanism through which we get far more jobs for the investment dollar than any other investment that has come into Jamaica over the last 10 or 15 years. So we want to spend time this morning to help you students to make a distinction, therefore, between business process outsourcing and call centers. So not just a call center, we're just answering persons, making queries, making complaints. The business process outsourcing organization is responsible for performing one part or a part of a process of another business organization, one in which outsourcing is done to save on cost or to improve productivity. And I've shared with persons that if you look at a normal firm where you have several departments in that firm, and it may be servicing generally the local industry. In the BPO setup, you have a number of persons who are doing similar jobs, but you are now serving international clients. So while you may be in Jamaica in a job, focusing only on the Jamaican clients, in the BPO sector, what you're now doing is in Jamaica. Instead of going to Singapore or going to Philippines or Austria or Finland or Canada to get a job, you can stay in Jamaica and get employment. That's basically what the concept is all about. And We talk about business process outsourcing, but it goes right at the highest level. We talk about knowledge process outsourcing. So whether you're an engineer, accountant, you're a graduate in banking, marketing, you can find a job because simply means you have an organization that have clients all over the world. Legal process outsourcing. Recently we've been talking about the surplus of lawyers that we are producing in Jamaica. But there is an answer to the problem that through this particular organization, if you are a trained lawyer, there are legal services that are required internationally that we can provide for the world right here in Jamaica.
How important would you say an event like this today, the BPO Career Fair, is for the youth of Jamaica?
The government is promoting this industry. We think it offers, as I said, opportunity for maximum employment. And there's still some misunderstanding because BPO started off like the garment sector in the 80s and this time as a kind of low-entry jobs. So most of the people are just basic literacy and numeracy entering to do telemarketing and call center operation, debt collection, in which what they need is just be taught to say the right things. And our dialect is quite easily modulated, and they do it very well. And that was the area that many Jamaicans view business process outsourcing as. But as indicated, in the modern world, most aspects of business processing can be outsourced, from human resources management, personnel management, accounting, insurance claims, all legal processing and so forth. And that's where we're heading now. So this fair is to give the young students an indication of what opportunities are there, what skills they can acquire, and what jobs they can get in the sector. And once they get in and acquire the skills, of course, some of them can go off to their own thing. In fact, I have a small group in Montego Bay of youngsters from the inner city who are doing a small company that does outsourcing of their own. So it's really to ensure that the upcoming generation understands the outsourcing activity, what it really means, and how they can participate in it in a meaningful way. And prevent us from really creating a kind of a bump, but rather a trajectory. Because Jamaica tends to do that. We do something, well, it get excited, we employ 20,000 people, and then bam, it falls apart. We need to ensure that we are part of the global economy, and outsourcing will be one of the things we provide, because we can, Jamaica in terms of services and skills are very competitive and can do so where we are located successfully.
This morning we are here to look at business process outsourcing, because the internet itself has made it possible that employment, research and innovation can be done anywhere in the world, and the business, more than half of any business process outsourcing process can be done anywhere in the world. So that the big companies, whether General Motors or Boeing, can in fact say to you, I want my accounts done in Timbuktu, in Niger, and it can be done and delivered to the office in real time. This is what has offered the opportunity that Jamaica can now interact with the entire global economy effectively and efficiently, and generate opportunities for our young adults to practice their profession and earn real income. Entry-level jobs, yes, are relatively low income, but there's large numbers of Jamaicans who don't have the capacity yet to work at another level. But the availability and opportunities at the next level is there, and the jobs actually pay better than what now exists. In fact, recently I had a discussion with one of the companies, and I know the fact that they pay better than the banking industry. They pay better than the hotel industry, which is what we promote and many of us see as the way out of poverty and getting a job. Tourism does offer significant opportunities in Jamaica. Tourism has employed thousands of people, but the reality of life is that the difference between those at the top, who earn huge sums, and those at the bottom, unless they get tips, is extremely wide. And there are very few young people who can enter, even from this level, enter the tourism market as a trainee manager And the salary offered, I know many UTech graduates have actually walked away and they can do nothing else. The business process outsourcing industry offers jobs in a tiered way, and many of them are much better paying for graduates. We have developed advantages in the area of business, and I know we are expanding to look at other areas of activity as the country has become known as a good destination with bright and creative people. This career fair this morning is a good place to expand your knowledge on what business source processing means. The government itself, of course, is committed to providing not only the opportunity, but the training that is required. But bear in mind, as I said, it is practice your profession. And the aspect of outsourcing is maybe a shorter part of the course. They seek individuals who are trained as engineers, in the legal profession, in the medical profession, as well as accounting, law, and other aspects of business.
Have you seen it? It's BATV Live. Live streams of business news weekdays at 7:30 p.m. Stay on point Thursdays at 8 p.m. with our Business Current Affairs show. And Weekend Business Report Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. wherever you are. Log on to our Facebook page at Business Access TV or visit our website at batvja.com. Live and at your fingertips. Business Access TV. Serious about business.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bill? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready Credit for 1, 7, or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready Credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Unemployment is not great in Jamaica. We all know that. So we're happy that BPO is bringing jobs to Jamaica, bringing opportunities to Jamaica, and it gives you an option. If you want to be a doctor, a teacher, a lawyer, you want to be an actuary, you want to, whatever you want to do, you want to start your own business, use this as an option while you get that started to help you through that. I want to tell you guys 2 stories today about people who I've seen in this industry and how this industry has helped them. So the first person I want to talk about is somebody called Nick. Nick started out with us at BXI as an agent, and he's a big guy. He was an athlete and he got injured, so he couldn't play sport anymore, so he came and wanted to work with us. He didn't know anything about BPO, he had no training. So he came and he was working with us, and after about 6 months he came to me and he said, "Mike, I really want to thank you." I said, "For what, Nick?" He said, "Well, you guys have given me an opportunity. I just bought my first car. I've been working here 6 months as an agent, and I bought my first car. I have it on the road now as a taxi. So while I'm here working, making good money, I have a taxi on the road and I can make money for myself otherwise." And I said, "Nick, well, that's great." About 3 months later, he came to me again. He said, "Mike, I just put my second car on the road." So I said, "Wow, well, that's really amazing." He's been with us for about 9 months, and now he has a secondary business. And he was talking to me about his plans after the industry and how he wants to stay here with us for 2 years, and then he wants to start his own business. And he's now looking at not just taxis, but he wants to buy a higher-end car so that he can, because he sees how our clients come in. They come in either in nicer cars, not taxis. They come in from the airport. We have clients here all the time. So he says he wants for us to give him business. He wants to have a nicer car so that when we have clients come in, he wants to be the person to go and pick them up. So that's one quick story as to how this industry has opened up a door for somebody to start their own company outside of the industry. He was working with us. He continued to work with us and was able to start his secondary business. I know a lot of you in the audience definitely didn't have BPO as something on your mind when you were growing up. You may not have had it in your mind until maybe just today. But as I said, it's an opportunity, it's a chance for you guys to make some money, get a job, get good experience. You heard how you're speaking to overseas people. It's a great opportunity. I encourage everybody here, no matter what you want to do, if you leave school and you don't have something right away, take a look at any single outsourcer. It's a great opportunity for you guys to gain experience. The second story is about a person who was a coach, and we identified this person as a high potential individual. So what a coach is somebody who they're right above the agent level. They give advice, they listen to calls, they help you along, help you to get better as an agent. And so this person started out as a coach. We've been open at VXI for a year and a half. She started with us a year and a half ago. Very quickly she moved from a coach to a team leader, so she was now responsible for 14 people, helping to develop 14 people. Many people off of her team were able to be developed as well and grow into other roles. They were able to grow from agents to coaches. She then moved to an operations manager from a team leader, and she's now an associate director in the company. That all happened within a year and a half. There's not many industries, whether in Jamaica or the rest of the world, where you can have that kind of growth that quickly. You hear a lot about the jobs that come into Jamaica from the BPO industry, and everybody kind of thinks of them as agent-level jobs. But we have about 650 agent-level jobs at VXI, but we have 900 employees. That means that we have over 250 support jobs. So not only do you have an opportunity to be an agent and earn some money there, but you also have an opportunity to grow into a leadership role, which is really what my hope is for every single person.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let me just make it clear for you. The business process outsourcing unit, all it simply means is that a firm has a business and they have decided that some aspect of their business, they would like to outsource it to another business to do it for them. There's a possibility that the other business can do it a little better than they can because that's their area of expertise. That's where you will come in. Primarily, what they will ask is for the persons to deal with their customer service side of their business, while they will deal with the technical side of the business. And I can give you a very easy example. I hear you, all of you taking out your phones earlier on. Your phone company can decide to outsource their customer service area of their business. So whenever you call with a problem, or if you didn't get your credit, or whatever the issue is that you might have, you will call and you might get a business process outsourcing sector, and they will now take care of your call, they will answer your questions, they will assist you with whatever information that you need to get at the time. Now, so that's business outsourcing. So as we go along, we're going to talk about what it is that you really need. Now, there's three things that you need to ensure that you know. It is leveraging of the technology or specialist process vendor to provide and manage an organization, critical or non-critical enterprise process and application. There are several areas in the BPO industry that you can be a part of. It could be tech support, it could be telemarketing sales, it could be IT help desk, it could be insurance processing, data entry, data conversation, it could be bookkeeping, form processing, and customer support. So some of the areas that are involved in the BPO industry. Now, in the customer service area, you could work in the customer service area and be asked to do voice over email. Yeah, there are times, many of you, I'm sure, have gone online and you have seen where they'll tell you that help is available online and you can type and talk to somebody online. That could be a part of the BPO industry because that side of the business could have been outsourced. So if you have the ability to type fast, to type, use good use of the English language, then you could work in the BPO industry.
What is the Hard Trust NTA's contribution to the BPO industry?
Well, we have a partnership with the business processing outsourcing Association of Jamaica. Our primary role is that we are actually providing training and certification for persons who want to enter into the BPO industry. So right now we have 3 main types of training programs that we are doing. We have a customized program that is offered over 3 weeks. We also have a job qualification program that we offer for 6 weeks. And we also have our NVQJ, that's a national qualification program, vocational training program that we offer over 9 to 12 months for the BPO industry.
What plans does the Hartress NTA have to contribute further to the BPO industry in Jamaica?
Well, we actually have additional plans, not only in training, but also to break ground. We're actually putting together plans to break ground right now to create a BPO finishing school, where we'll be able to, better able to provide persons with the soft skills that are necessary to work in the BPO industry.
Career Moves has always explored interesting careers, highlighting all you may not have known about them. This season is no different.
Coming back to Jamaica, everyone's like, Fizzy what? Fizzy who?
When you find a bright boy or girl in the class and they say, what are you going to be? The parents say, you have to go be a doctor, you have to go be a lawyer. Nobody says you have to go be a politician.
Let me see your hands!
Tune in Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
What exactly is the Avasan Foundation?
We are a non-for-profit organization, part of Avasan, which is a global management strategy firm, and we are headquartered in Southern California, and the mission and focus of Avasan Foundation is in the space of youth empowerment, and we do that through education, providing vocational skill training like the ones we do in Jamaica, employment, getting them hired mostly in the BPO sector because it's a fast-growing industry, and entrepreneurship. Any of them who have the field to start their own business, we give them basic training so that they can put their ideas into action and create jobs.
What has the relationship between the Avasan Foundation been with the BPO industry in Jamaica?
Fantastic. Our partnership with them, so I always say we have 2 key stakeholders. One is the youth that need to do the training to get the job, and the job creators, which is the BPO sector. I feel very blessed and honored that Jamaica, first of all, has welcomed us with open arms, and the BPO sector has really embraced us. They've given us the opportunity to hire our youth. They give us their trainers. They help our students to come and experience what the industry is about through site visits, and they hire our students when the training is done. So it's a fantastic partnership, and I'm absolutely thrilled that we have this here in Jamaica, and it's only growing.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kefas Francis. I am 23 years of age. I graduated from the Avasan Training Initiative in 2016. Through that training initiative, I was able to secure an interview with ITEL BPO Smart Solutions, and I got a job. So I have been working with them for the past year and a couple months, and it's really been a wonderful experience.
Hi guys, my name is Samoya Simpson. I am 19 years of age, and after graduating from the Avasan Foundation, I am now employed at IBEX Global, where I am now at for 2 months and 6 days, and I'm loving it there.
And when did you graduate? Just 2 months ago?
Yes.
Hi guys, my name is Ricardo McCarthy, and I'm a graduate of the 3rd cohort of 2016. I was employed by Conduent last year, and I've been working for over a year with them. A great experience. I'm 22 years old, and I really love BPO. Thank you.
My name is Shanika. I
I was actually a graduate, same cohort as Ricardo, and I started at HGS, which is customer service, and then I moved to VXI, which is sales. The reason why I chose to move to VXI was because, sales, it actually pushes you to be more competitive, and to be honest, sometimes it's better you change your experience so that you can be well-rounded, basically. So that's my experience.
Hello everybody, my name is Traverse Evans. I'm a graduate of Avasant from the 2015 the pilot program, so I was the first graduate. I've been employed at HGS for 2 years now and I've been loving it. HGS is my second family.
Thank you all so much. I think what will be interesting is for you all to talk a little bit about your experience at each of these BPO companies, because for these students here or the potential future employees, they need to know that there are so many BPO companies. And what is it that makes it so unique about each one of them? We know they're all great companies, they're great job creators, they compete with each other, they pay good salaries, your life is very good. I think the gentleman this morning from BXI said that one of their employee has bought 2 cars and has started another business. So sky's the limit, but what I want to hear is, how has this experience been for you, and what was your background before you came here? Why don't we start with you, Travis?
Okay, so before the Avasant Foundation, I was unemployed. I heard about the initiative through a youth group that I was in within my community. From the training, I graduated to HGS. And from that point, I've been there. Working in a call center can be hard at times. It can be difficult, but it's good to have a sound mind and enjoy yourself while you're doing it. Where I'm at, it's like a second family. I don't feel like getting up and going to work in the mornings. It's like getting up and going to a second home, because everybody there is just my friends. I can just go and speak to anyone that I feel to about any issue that I have.
So Shanika, tell me, what is the difference? Tell the audience, what is the difference between customer service and sales? And why do you think you wanted to have the other experience as well?
All right, so the difference between customer service and sales is with customer service, you actually get to, help persons. You have to, become their friend. Hey, what's going on for you? What's happening today? You have to, your soft skills, and you have to build rapport with them. With sales, on the other hand, it's a little bit more, exciting. They call in, hey, I'm looking to get some services. How can you help me? Okay, great. I'll be more than happy to help you with that. What are you looking for? So you're basically trying to be their friend so that you can, get their, you can gain their trust, and so that they can give you some, personal information that you would need to get your sales. So to me, I love customer service, but as per sale, it actually pushes you to be, competitive, because, that person has 3 sales. Hey, listen, I want to be top of the group, so I want to get 5 sales. So it pushes you to be competitive, and, of course, when you get your sales, you get your bonus, you get, as he said, you get some gifts. They give away microwaves. You just feel so good. Actually, where I'm at right now, tonight, they're going to have a Halloween party. So, once I leave here, I'm going to go on and get my costume on, and I'm going to enjoy myself, because that's what we do at call centers. We enjoy ourselves. So you come, it's a very good place to be. You make a lot of money, and you enjoy yourself while doing it. And it actually helps you to speak very nice, like myself. So, yeah.
That's something to take into account. When these youngsters came to our program, not all of them were speaking English fluently. They were speaking a lot of Patois. And we don't allow that. The BPO industry does not allow that. And hear them speak. They speak so well, so professionally, and they speak perfect English.
Those were the highlights from the first JAMPRO BPO Career Fair. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
My name is Christelle Harris. You're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
If you grew up in Jamaica, chances are your mornings would start with a hot beverage. And regardless of what it was made from, it was called tea. This week on The Good Life, we highlight what many Jamaicans refer to as tea and the numerous benefits that your grandmother may have told you about.
My name is Norman Wright. I am the Managing Director of Perishables Jamaica Limited, and we manufacture teas under the Tops and Sipper Cuppa Ital Jamaican brands. Perishables Jamaica Limited commenced operations in 1980. It was a year when Jamaica had a lot of turmoil going on with our political parties. People were either going or staying. And I chose to stay in Jamaica and start Perishables Jamaica Limited with what was 300 Jamaican dollars, the equivalent of $175 US, and at today's rate of exchange it would be about $23,000. We made that start, we planted that seed, we have watered it and watched it growing in the 37 years, and we are extending the brand with the Sipper Cuppa range. We in Jamaica look at every hot beverage other than coffee as tea. So you have cocoa tea, chocolate tea, you have peppermint tea and bush teas. But real tea, straight tea is, as it says, tea that's grown in India, Ceylon, Kenya, and that's a plant that has its own unique claim. We loosely, globally still refer to hot beverages as teas, but they're really tisanes, as the proper classification is. We as a people have a rich heritage of healing herbs, and over time we have lost a lot of that knowledge because we have adopted the Western lifestyle, and so black tea is a Western style and we adopted it. But with the emergence of herbal medicine to the forefront again globally, and 70% of the world population depends on primary herbs and spices to deal with healthcare because they don't have access to modern pharmaceutical medicine. And so we as a country, and certainly we as a company, have a mandate to develop indigenous agricultural products and byproducts. And the herbs and spices niche is where we have gone in, and we have sought to bring these traditional healing herbs and package them in a consistent manner, in a proper quality format, and giving it to the Jamaican consumer that they know when they buy a pack of Cersei, it's a consistent quality Cersei before we put it on the shelf. Guinea hen weed. If you smell it, it's actually loaded with sulfur. It's loaded with sulfur, and that's one of the benefits of the sulfur products. They tend to help in terms of cleaning and attending to the body's immune system. This product is John Charles, and we actually are working on a project with this John Charles and this one, which is Jack in the Bush. In Jamaican folklore, these are good cold bush. This is moringa, and this moringa, you can eat it straight out. This is natural protein. So if you find yourself anywhere and you're hungry, you get just a thing here, drink some water, and you have natural energy. So you can add it to your salad and eat it raw, or you can just steam it down like callaloo, and you add your callaloo to it because it's natural plant protein, nature's gift to us. We recognize also that one of the benefits of moringa is that it acts as a fertilizer. So we have tried to plant some ginger here. So we planted 1, 2, 3, 4 different sets of gingers from 4 different locations. And we have added moringa to it on a weekly basis. And we're gonna see what the yield is like at the end of the project. This year is a special white turmeric. We got this plant from one of our suppliers, and we are planting it here with a view to growing it out. In much the same way we started perishables with $300, we're gonna take this white turmeric and grow it out and bring it into the production process eventually. This big tree here is called Piaba. Woman Piaba, man Piaba, Gully Grand Grand, Miss Lou, you know that one? You're too young for that. All right. It is one of the herbs that is used in dealing with period pains in traditional healing. And it's a product that our distributors asked us to bring to market, so we will be bringing this to market. This is what we call inflammation weed. And unfortunately, we don't have it in its full bloom, but these little red, green spots will turn red in another couple of days. People call it information weed, but it's inflammation weed. And this is one of our gifts that we don't utilize in Jamaica in any way, shape, or form. In much the same way, guava leaf. Guava leaf is natural to help you with any sort of stomach indigestion, diarrhea, vomiting diarrhea. And a lot of people leave a guava tree in their home. If they could just boil it and give the child, or they themselves have that guava leaf tea, and they would get relief. They head off to the doctor, the pharmacist, get dehydrated and didn't know the solution was at hand. It's the same thing with inflammation weed. In traditional healing, it is a herb that is respected and revered, and we expect to bring it to market again in the near future. This year is lemongrass, and the Tops brand. This is donkey weed, Bushman Viagra. Bushman Viagra. This is what we started the business with in 1985. We used this product and blended it with black tea to create our first product and our flagship product, Tops Pep-O-Mint, which is a blend of black tea, which is a product that transformed the Jamaican black tea market to a herbal tea market. It was a change agent. That's why we have so many people enjoying herbal teas today and less people enjoying black tea. And we do have a Jamaican herb that is as good as black tea. It's called Search Me Heart. And that's another one of the products that will be coming to market.
Don't go anywhere. Learn more about the benefits of tea when The Good Life returns. Soon come.
Caring Hands Season 3 continues to effect change in a changing environment.
Many of us were raised by grandmothers, right? So, I mean, we know the wisdom that these people have.
going beyond business.
The little leaders of today are our leaders of tomorrow. And with the proper education, we'll have very good leadership coming from that.
That's season 3 of Caring Hands, creating change and shaping lives, every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Go for God Family Church.
Today's message is for those of you who thought that Jesus was finished.
Inspiring messages.
I'm here to tell you today that you are excellent. God is excellent.
Empowerment from biblical motivation.
To be glorified means to endow with authority. A woman is a powerful, creative being.
Join Pastor Christopher Morgan and the Go for God team as we go for God.
Welcome back to The Good Life. This week it's all about the benefits of what Jamaicans term as tea.
When one dries the herbs, one gets a concentration of the elements in a smaller package. Whereas if one has the fresh herb, it doesn't necessarily have the concentration that you would have in a dried herb, because you have lost the moisture. So when you have a fresh herb, it is herb plus water. When you get a dried herb, the water is out, so you have it's more concentrated in that area. And you rehydrate. When you rehydrate, you pretty much get back the benefit. In drying the herbs, you might lose some of the low notes, which are those products that have a low boiling point, so the heat will drive them off. And that might affect some of the benefits that you will get from those low notes. But generally speaking, the dried herb captures pretty much all that is in the herb once it's concentrated and dried. It's convenience. That's the bottom line. When I was a boy, we used to go catch a fowl, cut the neck off, and pick the feathers off, clean it up, and cook it. Now I go to the supermarket and I buy a leg or a breast or a whole chicken. It's the same thing with our tea bags. Instead of going out and go picking guava leaf because you have an upset stomach and diarrhea, which is what guava helps you with, you can go buy a pack of Sipper Cup of Ital Jamaican guava leaf tea bag in the supermarket, and you know that each tea bag is a consistent product with a dosage that should be good for you, 1.5 grams tea bag of dried herbs, and you should get the benefit from that package each time you use that package. If you go and pick 5 leaves today, 3 leaves tomorrow, 4 leaves, 6 leaves, you don't know what you're going to actually end up with. But certainly if one is in the community and doesn't have access to tea bags, rule of thumb is you normally, like guava leaf, you take 3 or 4 leaves and you steep it and you get the benefit of it. A handful of leaves is something that one would kind of work with to get your 1.5 gram of dried herbs from. Coffee has its space, its niche, its following, and the herbal teas have their own following as well. So for me, and from what I know, coffee is a good stimulant that perks you up, but you get that same benefit from Busy, because Busy has some caffeine in it, but I think it's more presented in a form almost like it's blended with chocolate. It's a hybrid when you look at the Busy. So when you drink Busy, you get the caffeine benefit, but it's not as a high fast release as you get with the regular coffee. And in Africa, it's actually used for endurance when you take busy. Some people use it as a stimulant for, it starts to be aphrodisiac. You might find people drinking both, yeah? But generally speaking, the coffee person wants coffee at specific times. They will intersperse with tea, but a coffee person is generally, in my opinion, a coffee person. They need that caffeine at some point in time. The tea drinker, the person who wants to have a calm and restful sleep, will drink vervain or vervain because it's a calming herb. It's an adaptogen herb in much the same way that lemongrass or color mint will calm you. So depending on what the person wants, they will drink the tea, even if they are coffee drinkers, to get the benefit that they expect. And vervain is also a good worm medicine. The bitter bush. We don't produce enough cerasee. We've never produced enough cerasee. Whatever we produce is always sold. It's up there. Joining it would be Jamaican peppermint for us. And we have seen a significant improvement in the takeoff of moringa and guinea hen weed under the Sipa Copper brand. If we had ginger, maybe ginger would be in the mix, but we haven't been able to source consistent supplies of Jamaican ginger for the last 3 years, and chances are we won't for another 2, 3, 4 years. We pretty much are almost looking at taking Jamaican ginger out of our product mix because it's just the material isn't available in a consistent manner at a price that makes it marketable. Ginger shortage revolves around an issue of rhizome rot, which the government of Jamaica is fully aware of. The Scientific Council and all the relevant authorities are aware of the problem of ginger rhizome rot and its implications on the Jamaican economy. We import more ginger than we export, and Jamaica at one time was ranked probably 3rd or 4th as a world producer of ginger. It's a commodity that if we were to spend some time, money and effort on it to deal with it, it could be resolved, I think. So we need to take charge of ginger. That's all I would like the government to do. The rest of things we can solve. Ginger. Oh yes, certainly there are lots of concerns about bush tea, and which is why on our packages we put the botanical name so that whoever is buying, they can go research the name of the product and see what the benefits are if they don't know the benefits already. And you have herbs like guinea hen weed, which have abortifacient properties. So if you are pregnant, you shouldn't take something like guinea hen weed. And then you have herbs like turmeric, which are anti-inflammatory, which are blood thinners. And the same thing goes for your guinea hen weed. So if you're using blood thinners, you wouldn't want to use the herbs with it because it would tend to thin your blood some more than you go to. And which is why we recommend on our products that you talk with your health provider and let them be aware of what it is you're doing. And you research carefully what benefits you can have from these herbs. But Dr. Pickin will probably tell you more about the drug-herb interactions and what can and cannot go.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Every day you wake up, you have another opportunity to make this little island better, safer, a place where we all can be proud to call home. It's time we all recognize that every little thing we do has an impact on the Jamaica we live in now and the country we're leaving for our children. So promise me this, promise yourself this. No more will we tolerate criminals, even if it's our relatives. Tell them they're doing something wrong. Tell them to stop. Tell them no more robbing our children of the Jamaica they deserve. Tell them no more crime.
One of the biggest myths is that anything that is natural is safe. That's a myth. That's quite clearly not true. Some of the most powerful poisons known to man are plants. One of the most powerful poisons right now is ricin. Ricin is derived from the castor oil bean. But if you process the castor oil bean, it's safe. The oil itself is safe. But if an adult chews 1 or 2 castor beans, they will probably end up in hospital, if not dead. So to say because things are natural, they're safe is a myth. So having said that, when it comes to medicinal plants, when it comes to bush medicine, the way people have used plants going back to thousands and thousands of years to the first human beings is through trial and error. Traditional use is one of the most important aspects of medicinal plant safety. So where you have a long history of traditional use, that history of traditional use will normally tell you which part of the plant can be used and how that plant part can be prepared. And also, traditional use will tell you generally how long you can take the plant for and the dose. In Jamaica and the Caribbean, that traditional use is an oral tradition. It's not written down. So that traditional knowledge is very important. And one of the key areas that we're doing research on is to actually document that traditional knowledge and make sure that that's documented and then given back into the communities so that that knowledge doesn't die out. And so Jamaicans and other people across the Caribbean continue to use medicinals. In fact, if anything, use more medicinal plants, but they use them safely. 73% of the people that we interviewed, and we did an island-wide survey, 73% still use Jamaican plants day in, day out. And a lot of the plants aren't necessarily used to treat illness. This is the other thing that excites me as a researcher. Jamaicans are very proactive in maintaining their health. So they don't necessarily wait until they're sick to take a plant. They will take a tea to stay healthy. And that, for me, from a public health perspective, is very interesting and very heartwarming. So I would say it's a very positive thing. And what I would hope is that that doesn't die out. Jamaicans have, compared to a lot of countries, the knowledge of medicinal plants is extraordinary here. It really is quite extraordinary. People know which plants are good for particular health conditions. And many of those health conditions might be what doctors would call self-limiting. So they're conditions that may go away if you didn't do anything. But guess what? If you take a particular plant for that particular condition because it's troubling you and it brings you some relief, then you can say that that has a health benefit. But ultimately, the condition's going to go away. So bellyache gas is not a serious condition, but if you drink a herbal tea, it's going to make you feel better. But then you have plants where, as we start to do research, we actually find that they have significant health benefits. And so that's when it starts to get interesting to look at how people report using plants, and then you go away and do the research and you find, well, guess what? You may find people report its use because they find it's good over years and years or generations, they find it's very good. But then the pharmacologists and the ethnobotanists then look into a plant and find that it has other benefits. Or you may find a plant that people know is good in Jamaica for one condition is good for a whole range of other conditions, in other countries. A lot of our pharmaceutical drugs have evolved from plant-based medicines. So the original plant-based treatment, going back to the 20s and 30s for syphilis, before antibiotics, was sarsaparilla. So they're looking at sarsaparilla as a medicine that can be used in the treatment of these antibiotic-resistant forms of syphilis.
Leaf of life. When you plant this, it generates many suckers or many plants. And each one of these nodules here, if you put it in the earth, will give you a plant.
Leaf of life can be prepared either by squeezing the leaf and drinking it straight or infusing it as a tea. In Jamaica, people report its use as a cold remedy. Anytime you have sore throat, cold, you take leaf of life. But that plant in Nigeria has gone through clinical trials as what's called a tocolytic agent. And a tocolytic agent is a drug or a plant-based medicine or a pharmaceutical drug that prevents a woman from going into labour prematurely. It actually calms down uterine contractions. So if you have a woman who's going to go into premature labour and you want to stop that, you give a tocolytic. So they did a clinical trial in Nigeria where they gave an extract of leaf of life and they compared it in a clinical trial with a pharmaceutical drug. Both had exactly the same effect. The leaf of life worked as effectively as the pharmaceutical. But guess what? There was an added benefit. The tocolytic has side effects. So you have to weigh up the risk to benefit to the fetus with preventing the birth. But the leaf of life doesn't have those same side effects. So in Germany, there are clinics that actually use leaf of life extract and have done since the 50s. And again, it's been through clinical studies there as a plant-based tocolytic agent.
That said, it's easy to conclude that there are many more plants that Jamaicans use as teas without knowing their additional benefits. One can only hope that the tradition of tea drinking continues, bearing in mind all things in moderation.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange wishes to help to develop the social sector. To that end, they have formed the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange, which is a safe, efficient, and transparent platform that aims to promote social projects that build Jamaica and will inure to the benefit of all persons living in the country.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange is a company that encourages and mobilizes capital for the main market. And that is the market that is not the social sector. Now, the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange is really geared towards the social sector to help to solve social problems in the field of health, education, about children, environment. Those are some of the things that we consider social problems. And so it is to mobilize the capital, allow persons who have a desire to invest in a social good, to invest in the social stock exchange. It is designed in two parts. In phase one, where we look at social investment, and phase two, where we look at social impact investment. Now, in phase one, really what we are saying is it is donation. An organization will have a social issue and design it into a project or a program and invite Jamaicans or persons within the diaspora or the entire world to fund this program. Now in phase two, you're going to get a return on investment which is not social. You will be getting shares, natural shares, as you would get if you invested in the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And what you'll get is a return on capital, which is possibly dividend or an appreciation in that share. The Jamaica Social Stock Exchange does more than ask for the funding of these programs, but goes beyond that in terms of monitoring, ensuring that these programs are meeting the targets and the reason for them to have asked for funding in the first place. When we look at this new sector, it is important because holistically, if you do not look on the social sector, you do not improve the other sectors. We want to encourage all businesses in Jamaica to have a corporate social responsibility because it is good for encouraging and the growth and development of businesses.
The origin of pharmacology dates back to the Middle Ages. It owes much of its foundation to the work of William Withering. The first pharmacology department was set up by Rudolf Buchheim in 1847 in recognition of the need to understand how therapeutic drugs and poisons produce their effects. Pharmacology developed in the 19th century as a biomedical science that applied the principles of scientific experimentation to therapeutic contexts. Today, pharmacologists use genetics, molecular biology, chemistry, and other advanced tools. They transform this information into therapies directed against disease, defects, or pathogens, and create methods for preventative care, diagnostics, and ultimately personalized medicine. We went to UTech and had a chat with Dr. Janet Campbell Shelley to learn more about the field on this episode of Career Moves.
Hi, I'm Janet Campbell Shelley. I'm a pharmacologist and currently I'm the Vice Dean in the College of Health Sciences, University of Technology. Pharmacology really deals with the effects, the study of drugs on human systems and also animals. When we speak about animals, we're talking about basic pharmacology. And when we extrapolate to humans now, we're going into medical or clinical pharmacology. A pharmacologist is one who looks at the effects of drugs, and we're doing so at various levels. We normally start with animal studies, so we're looking at how would the drug affect the body. We can't start with humans, so we look at how drugs will affect the animal systems, and then we extrapolate to humans. We're looking at things like, if it's at the lower level, the molecular level, what exactly is happening when the drug gets in the body? How is it absorbed? How is it distributed to various tissues? What is the effect that we're expecting that drug to have on the body? So I take a drug for pain, and I take it by mouth. And within half hour, my pain is relieved. How? What happened? We call that the mechanism of action. And so the pharmacologist spends a lot of time trying to work out the how of the drug. What is the mechanism? Why is it when I take a drug for diarrhea, it stops? Why is it when I take a drug for epilepsy, fits, it stops? What is really happening? And so that's the role of the pharmacologist, to work out, to analyze what is happening at the molecular level where we are getting the effects that we see. The symptoms stop. That's my job.
If you're a highly motivated and curious student who's fascinated with the life sciences and enjoys solving problems, then pharmacology may be an option for you.
Pharmacology is not restricted to any particular person. Qualification is what is important. So it's normally a graduate program. So somebody with a first degree in the sciences can go into pharmacology. My first degree was in chemistry and zoology. And so I did my master's in pharmacology, first in Canada, University of Alberta. And then I went on to do doctoral studies at the University of the West Indies. So once you have a good science base, you can embark on a degree or a profession in pharmacology.
Pharmacologists don't only have to be tied to a lab, but can work in various fields.
Pharmacology can take you into teaching, because all of the medical sciences, dentistry, medicine, pharmacy, must do pharmacology as one of their courses. So yes, there is a whole area of teaching for the pharmacologist, but also research. Drug development is one of the jobs of a pharmacologist. Whenever a drug is going on the market, from developmental stages until it gets to the patient, the pharmacologist is very important. So I would say for a pharmacologist, you must have a genuine interest in drug development, and you take it from there. Because sometimes you don't have all the resources, so you have to be very, very innovative to get ahead with what is happening with drug activity in the body.
Dr. Shelley shares her journey in becoming a pharmacologist.
My interest in pharmacology really started when I did my first degree, because one of the courses we did in my final year, we had to look at the effects of drugs on animals. It was very preliminary, but my interest started there. And so when I went to Canada to do the master's in pharmacology, at that time I was working on drugs on the respiratory system, and I saw the effects of it. So I became very interested now. And so at the PhD level, when I had to choose a project, I decided on the pimento because as a child, my mother applied the pimento in various forms and we saw the effects of it. So it has always been an interest, but an interest also because of how I saw it worked at various stages in my life. After I finished the master's in Canada, I came back to UTech, where I was employed before, of course, and went straight into pharmacology. I taught the pharmacist at that time pharmacology, and also there's another aspect of pharmacology which we refer to as toxicology. That is looking at the toxic effects of the drug. So it's not medicinal now, it's also the toxic effect. So I taught the pharmacist students both pharmacology and the toxicology. Your teaching is interspersed with lab work. So all of our programs here, nursing, pharmacy, dentistry, they have a lab component to pharmacology. So yes, you have your lectures, but in addition to that, you have to expose them to experimental pharmacology because it helps the student to appreciate more what you're doing in the lectures if you can support it with labs. And labs for us mean animal work. So you're administering the drugs to the animals and seeing the effect of it, or experiments that will help you to understand what is the mechanism of action of the drugs on the body, in this case the animals. I think the field of pharmacology needs exposure. A lot of persons don't know the difference even between a pharmacist and a pharmacologist. They see it all as one. Speaking of myself, I never knew of pharmacology until I got to the university.
Go for God Family Church.
Today's message is for those of you who thought that Jesus was finished.
Inspiring messages.
I'm here to tell you today that you are excellent. God is excellent.
Empowerment from biblical motivation.
To be glorified means to endow with authority. A woman is a powerful, creative being.
Join Pastor Christopher Morgan and the Go for God team as we go for God.
It's season 12, and Wealth Magazine Business Access is here to keep you business savvy. With an impressive mix of some of Jamaica's most inspiring business moguls, we continue to keep Jamaica informed, empowered, and ready to dominate. Tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. only on BATV.
You're watching
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access. Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
A pharmacologist, I think, has to deal with the preparation of the medicine, putting it together, looking at how it affects the human body. And the pharmacist dispenses the medication.
One examines somebody and one prescribes drugs.
No, I don't really know the definite meaning, but what I know is that the pharmacist always assist you with your prescription. And I think them doing a very great work, you know? Yeah.
No, I don't know the difference. Really don't know it.
Well, I never have no really, idea with them still. Because I live in maybe the rural area. Just come into the corporate area and go and do all the good things. I have no idea.
Pharmacologists aim to understand how drugs work so they can be used effectively and safely. Hence, certification is a must.
Qualification for a pharmacologist, normally it's a graduate course of study. And so persons entering pharmacology would have to have a first degree. The first degree could be in pharmacy, or in my case, it was in natural sciences, where I majored in chemistry and zoology. So that gave me the background, because studying drugs, that's chemistry. And biology, you understand the anatomy and the physiology of animals. So you must have a first degree. And you can go as far as you want, because you can do a master's, which is about 2 to 3 years, and then you can go on to do the PhD, which is another 2 or 3 years to complete it. The most important part, having your terminal degree in pharmacology, and now you can branch out into whatever area you want to. Teaching, consultancy, working with the ministry, research, it opens up the door. But I would encourage persons to go all the way, not just to stop at the master's, but complete your PhD.
Dr. Shelley also tells us what goes into training.
Usually, in addition to doing your didactic lectures, which in some programs it's about 9 credits. So you have to do things like your basic research methodologies, your statistics. You must have a very good understanding of anatomy and physiology. Chemistry is mandatory because drugs means chemicals, so you have to understand how chemicals make up the drugs. So you have to do your didactic lectures, and then usually there is a project that you work on, a research project, and it must be one of interest because you're going to drive that. It has to be your motivation. And even though you work with a supervisor, the work is yours. So nobody is going to be behind you to get this going. It has to be your forte. And so whatever your interest is in, you're going to move it along from garnering your material, in my case it was the raw pimento, taking it through all the analytical stages, extracting the active ingredient, and then using that now to do your animal work. If you're doing clinical pharmacology, it would mean that your sample would be taken from humans. We have some persons doing clinical pharmacology at the hospitals, so they're looking at the effects of the drug on the human system. So that's another aspect to it. But in terms of getting your studies, usually you're doing your work on animals, so that's basic pharmacology. My first degree was at the University of the West Indies, and that was in chemistry and zoology. And when I went on to do the master's at the University of Alberta in Canada, I worked on respiratory pharmacology, and that was for 3 years. On my return to Jamaica, I worked at UTEC for a while, and then I pursued my PhD in pharmacology at the University of the West Indies, and that was another 3 years. So it's quite a bit of studies, so the person who is interested in pharmacology must be in for the good haul, because it takes a while. Training in pharmacology currently is done at the master's level at the University of the West Indies and also at the PhD level. At UTech, we do pharmacology as a module in all of our science training courses. So the nurses, they do pharmacology. The pharmacist, the dentist, all must do pharmacology as a part of their training. But at the master's level and the PhD, we have not launched out into that as yet at UTech. In our dreams, yes, but at this time it's done in the undergraduate courses of study as one of the modules in their training. I think the pharmacologist is very relevant because any of the medical professions that you undertake, you must have an understanding of how drugs affect the body, and that's pharmacology. So there's a whole matter of teaching that is inexhaustible for the pharmacologist. And then research, because for every new drug that comes on the market, they must have gone through all the stages and steps in pharmacology, basic pharmacology, all the way to clinical trials before we get to putting it on the market. So there's a whole aspect of that. And then I think pharmacology also has a role in helping the public to understand what is happening. And so the whole matter of public education, I think, is a very important aspect that the pharmacologist can take on. Consultancy is another area that the pharmacologist can work in because it gives you an opportunity to explain to persons what is really happening in the field of drugs. And I make mention of the athletes because sometimes I think what happens with our athletes is mainly ignorance. And so consultancy and public education is another area that I think the pharmacologist has a role to play. I'm thinking also of coaches. If we could help the coaches to understand when they're training these athletes, what is the do's and the don'ts of drugs, it would also prevent some of the long-term problems that we have to deal with in the world of athletics. I think the field of pharmacology needs exposure. A lot of persons don't know the difference even between a pharmacist and a pharmacologist. They see it all as one. Speaking of myself, I never knew of pharmacology until I got to university.
A pharmacology degree offers wide prospects as opportunities are endless.
In terms of opportunities are there for consultancy, for teaching, for research, for drug development, and so it's a wide area. And I would encourage persons to explore and to see if this is really what I want and take it from there. In Jamaica, all of our medical programs must do pharmacology, and so there's a need for pharmacologists to teach our students. Other areas in ministry of health, research, those are very important areas that the pharmacologist can work in. So yes, there are job opportunities, but you must have a genuine interest in the area if you intend to go that way. I think there's room for development, there's room for expansion, but I think it has to start with exposure. Persons need to know who is the pharmacologist, what is the role of the pharmacologist, and what are some of the areas that the pharmacologist can work in. That needs to be done first and foremost.
Have you seen it? It's BATV Live. Live streams of business news weekdays at 7:30 p.m. Stay on point Thursdays at 8 p.m. with our Business Current Affairs show and Weekend Business Report Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. wherever you are. Log on to our Facebook page at Business Access TV or visit our website at batvja.com. Live and at your fingertips. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Our women are the backbone of our society. They deserve to be protected and respected. Domestic violence is not okay. Speak up and speak out. No more violence against women.
They say it takes a village to raise a child, but the world will one day need the leadership of that child. The time you spend with your child matters. It stimulates their minds and shapes the way they act. Talk with your children. Help them to better understand the world around them and to value what is truly precious. Above all, the most valuable gift you can give them is love. Play, talk, teach, love. Take the time. It makes all the difference. A message from the Parenting Helpline and Ad Council Jamaica.
A pharmacology degree provides an understanding of medications, their sources, chemical properties, biological effects, and therapeutic uses. Hence, a high level of skill sets are needed.
Skill sets for the pharmacologist would include things like critical thinking. You must be able to critically analyze things. You must be able to work on your own. So, self-motivation, using your own initiative, because nobody stands behind you and says step 1, step 2, step 3. You're going to work out your plan and you're going to execute it for yourself. And so that whole matter of being able to work on your own is critical. You must be in for the long haul, because doing basic pharmacology, sometimes you have to repeat experiments. I remember doing my PhD, I was looking at the effects of pimento, as I said, and sometimes you had to repeat the whole thing, which took you another month. So you extend your program several times just because you have to repeat it. And so you have to be able to stick to it. When you start, yes, you're going to make errors. Yes, you have to repeat to make sure what you're doing is on par, but you're not going to give up. So you have to be able to stick to it. You must be able to take corrections, because when you're working with a supervisor, you're not going to get it right the first time. So you must be able to take corrections and move with that. You must be able to work as a team, because doing pharmacology or doing a PhD in pharmacology, you're going to be drawing on several persons to assist you. So the lone star will not work. You must be able to work as a team to accomplish anything in that area.
Dr. Shelley notes that the field is underutilized and needs greater exposure.
I think there's room for development, there's room for expansion, but I think it has to start with exposure. Persons need to know who is the pharmacologist, what is the role of the pharmacologist, and what are some of the areas that the pharmacologist can work in. That needs to be done first and foremost. Teaching is one of our main things, and research and drug development, yes. Because there are so many unexplored areas in Jamaica, so many untapped plants that we haven't looked at, you know. So there is a role for the pharmacologist, I think.
She also shares some misconceptions about the field.
Persons sometimes are not sure of the distinction between pharmacy and pharmacology. That is always something you have to be defining to person. A pharmacologist is the person who looks at the effects of the drugs at one level or the other. Sometimes persons feel as if the pharmacologist can only work in the lab. What about the consultancy? You know, what about doing things for institutions? So I think that also needs to be clarified. There's a big role apart from just being in the lab.
Dr. Shelley says there is a wide scope for growth in the field. She says the compensation will also vary depending on where one works.
Opportunities for the pharmacologist would include drug development, research, teaching. There's always a new plant that we need to look at, or we can look at, to see what is the therapeutic benefit of that plant. And we have a lot of them in Jamaica that have never been looked at. So that would be a big area for the pharmacologist to get in. So there's a lot of scope for pharmacology, especially basic pharmacology, where we're taking it from the plants to the use of the patient. Compensation for the pharmacologist, it all depends on where you're working. Because if you're into academia, then more than likely you'll be paid as an academic, you know, wherever that is, at the university or in the schools or so. Compensation and payment is tied to where you're working. If you're working with a private company, then for sure the range is going to be quite different than if you're working in the public sphere. So it's difficult to say what your compensation will be, you know. There is a whole new area now of nutraceuticals and pharmaceuticals. I'm sure you're aware of the whole thrust of the medicinal marijuana. And so that's just one of the areas that I see a lot of scope, a lot of growth in the near future. And there's a big role for the pharmacologists there, because you cannot put a drug out on the market until you have done all the drug testing. And that's where the pharmacologist comes in. So I think with our new thrust for using herbal medicines and extracting and making sure that the patient and the population is safe, there's a big role there for the pharmacologists for the next few years as we try to develop that sector of the Jamaican market.
She leaves us with some pointers.
Pharmacology is my passion, and so my encouragement to students who are interested in this area is, first and foremost, make sure that you're focused. Make sure that your first degree is one of the highest quality. So whatever the science field you're in, if it's pharmacy, if it's natural sciences, make sure your grades are extremely high. And then you take it from there. Your master's in pharmacology, it's your choice. So you'll decide on your project that you're going to work on. You'll decide how far you go. Am I stopping at the master's, or am I going to the terminal degree? Am I going to make it a career opportunity for me, or is it going to be a job? And that decision has to be yours.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Now presenting the Jamaica Social Investment Fund ICDP Enterprise Development Project. Entrepreneurial Grant Business Pitch.
This project is a $100 million grant that's seeking to target 50 small and micro business enterprises and give them training, capacity development, equipment, permits and license towards the development and the viability of their business. We have made a call for proposal in March of this year for entrepreneurs to submit for the opportunity to receive a grant between $1 and $5 million. We received more than 500 applications, and so we have now shortlisted them to 100. So we've invited that top 100 applicants here today, and they're going to have to pitch their business idea to a panel, and of the 150 will actually transpire and win the opportunity for the grants. One of the primary objectives of what we're doing here is employment. We want the business to be able to sustain not only the principals as the owners, but we also want the business to be able to employ at least 2 people. The next part of it, as we do in all of our projects like this, is it provides a learning instrument of how we can engage small and micro enterprises and take them to the next level.
Why we're doing this rigorous process, because we want to identify the best potential entrepreneurs to fund for this project. And keep in mind that we are speaking about a loan, so we want to ensure that the applicants are committed, and that from a sustainability point of view, that upon receiving the support from JSIP, that in 2-3 years, the enterprises will still be operational and the broader objective of the project would be achieved. Once we have now equipped them and they should be ready to start the production line going, we'll then have a mentorship component.
It has been a very competitive process. Jamaica is filled with persons with drive and passion. We're expecting that the best will be selected. And then for those who are not successful, we are also hoping to link them to other providers of services, because I'm telling you today, from what I've seen, it is an excellent opportunity. It's worthy of note that many persons coming here today already have some kind of semblance of a business, but they need the additional support to move that business to the other level, as well as some persons that are coming with those proposals to start from scratch. On behalf of the JSIF, we want to really thank the DBJ and other partners from UWI who came to be part of the panel, and just to remind you that the JSIF is here and we're investing for community development.